Something to a dog really didn't like, at least the dog that has all its teeth?
I think the problem here is that we are talking about domestic species. And the very definition of a domestic species is that they are under our control. So my problem with zoophilia is that it is a one-way street. It is not the animal who is choosing to have a sexual relationship with us. It is we who are imposing a sexual relationship upon the animal.
Nobody asks animals whether they want to work for us, serve as foods for us in a restaurant or at home. Nobody asks the animal anything. People just take animals for granted. But when it comes to having sex with animals, all of a sudden people start feeling very uncomfortable about this and say, this is abuse. But killing animals, that's okay because we eat them.
What was your first experience?
Well, actually, it was kind of interesting. I was house sitting for somebody, watching their dog and their birds and their fish and stuff. I was maybe 10, 11 years old, I don't quite remember. So I went skinny dipping, and one day I bent over to test the water. You know how you do. Just bend over
Yes,
and
it's nice to know how cold it is.
Yes, and, well, their dog kind of snuck up behind me and stuck his nose between my legs. Needless to say, I was a little bit surprised, but I was like, that feels good. But then he decided he wanted a little more, so he jumped on. And at that point, I learned what it was to lose your virginity. It scared me half to death. But then it kind of started feeling good, and I'm like,
Yeah.
But then again, the other scare that I had was, oh my God, I'm gonna have puppies.
I think I was like 22 the first time that I had, allowed a dog to have sexual intercourse. So it kind of just grew from there.
Oh, yeah?
But, I mean, I had dog companions in between. I've always loved the feel of fur my whole life. And my dog was always there as a good friend, soaking up tears, whatever I was going through. And I don't know, I guess it was just one night. We were snuggling in bed, and I was petting him, and he just got very curious. And, there was more of an oral thing. And, I became kind of curious about him. So, to begin with, it was more of just curiosity.
So you lost your virginity to a human first?
To a human. I was like, 15 or 16. 15.
I was 21 when I lost my virginity to a human.
It was before I was 16 because, I guess I was more curious sexually and more interested.
My problem is most of my boyfriends weren't interested in it, and I never could figure out why.
Ellie did eventually meet Ken, who shares her sexual preference.
Oh, we need to grab a couple handfuls of that smaller stuff there, and I'll get some of this. I was technically a virgin until I was 29 years old. I was a zoophile up until then, and I just basically didn't have much interest in other members of my own species as far as a life bond or anything. But when I met Ellie here, we clicked. It was the one person that I felt within a week probably after I met her. We were meant to be together. There you go. Come sit over here.
Ken and Ellie met through a zoo friend on the internet. After a few weeks, they arranged their first date.
Well, the first night that he came up to visit me, I took him down to the barn to introduce him to some of my horses and some of the other horses that I enjoyed at the barn. And I took him in and introduced him to my miniature stallion. And I don't know if it was subconscious, I was very nervous and kind of wanted to do the shock factor, as it were. My miniature stallion was dropped and masturbating. When his penis is dropped and he slaps it on his belly, they call that masturbation for stallions. And so one thing led to another and I couldn't resist, so I bent down and started sucking on him. And then he tried climbing on top of me, so the next thing I know, my pants are down and I'm bending over for him, and I'm like, excuse me, I can't resist. And I guess part of me said, okay, either he's for real and he won't mind this, or he's not for real and he's going to be totally freaked out by it and run. Obviously, he didn't run.
No, actually, I was very tempted at the point to have sloppy seconds. It turned me on. It was so erotic to watch this, and just the whole thing. And it didn't shock me at all. In fact, I was like, this is pretty cool. I think I found somebody here that might be on my plane here, and it went from there. And here we are, married.
Yeah. Well, I have vaginal sex with my miniature stallion. He's not a whole lot larger than most humans. He is a bit bigger, but not uncomfortably so. I like to suck on him orally, and he especially enjoys that.
I have anal sex with the miniature stallion. He penetrates me, and it's pleasurable, but it's not real intense. It's like I said, the pleasure that I get from it is more from knowing how much he enjoys having sex with me. He tends to tell me about it. He talks a lot. He grunts and wickers and blows in my ear, etc. And that is very erotic to me, more so than the physical sex.
When he's courting me, as it were, trying to entice me to bend down or kneel down, he does a lot of, I call it a hubba hubba. He just kind of goes and makes this little hubba hubba noise to me. And then once he's in, I mean, for every stroke that he does, he makes this big grunting noise. And then when he orgasms, he makes an even bigger grunting noise.
And he tends to like to hold on with his teeth, and I actually have some scars on my back from where he's bitten onto me, just hanging on.
The first time I even had an inkling of sexual attraction or the idea of an animal as a sex object, 16 years old, a good friend of mine and I had been riding a little pony cart around near his grandparents' farm. And at the end of the ride, to take proper care of the equipment and the pony, he handed me a brush and a comb and told me to wipe the horse down, comb her, brush her. And I got around toward the back end of that little pony, and she had her tail up in the air. And something just went ka-ching in my mind. It's girl pussy, pony pussy, pussy. And I looked around real quick and touched it. Well, here I was. I'd been trying to do all the right stuff, ask girls out to the right movies, and of course, well, they were busy. Maybe try to get him to go out and eat a burger and shake or something like that. Well, they're busy, but, you know, ask me again sometime. And sometime never came. So when I actually went out and had intercourse with that pony mare, I didn't feel that I was being weird. I felt that I was being superior.